Thank you guys for joining us. This is Mark with GeekOutpost.com. I am in the middle of interviewing Harry Kirby of K&K Productions. Harry, thank you for stopping with us. Really appreciate it.
No problem, Mark. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Now, you are the director, writer, producer, fashion designer, stylist, linguist. I mean, you do everything with K&K Productions.
That's right, yeah. Along with my brother George, who is the other director, fashion designer, and editor of the company.
Everything all at once. Those who don't know, tell us a little bit of what K&K Productions is all about.
Well, we're a production company in the UK, and I'd say our biggest fan base is for our Dragon Ball Z videos. Basically, we're big geeks. Like, we love kind of action, anime, sci-fi, and when we were younger, we always talked about wanting to, make that kind of thing. So we started doing that on YouTube and just putting out kind of videos which are based around VFX and action, all that kind of stuff. And our first big video we did was live action Dragon Ball Z.
So that's probably what you guys are best known for, is the short, albeit, but much high quality production of the Dragon Ball Z Saiyan Saga that can be found on your YouTube channel right now. You've done many videos of Dragon Ball Z, not just that, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but that's kind of like your primary focus right now. On the YouTube channel that you guys have, you have multiple videos that are well over 1 million views, but your number one at this point with just under 7 million views is the Dragon Ball Z Saiyan Saga trailer. Can you tell us a little bit about what it went into to create something of that magnitude?
Yeah, well, basically, I mean, it started with the fact that, we were always, growing up, we were big Dragon Ball Z fans, and we always talked that, if we ever made movies and stuff, that would be our kind of first thing we wanted to do. And then in 2009, we saw Dragon Ball Z Evolution, which made us extremely angry.
You and everybody else, every other anime fan on the planet.
So we kind of, that literally helped us, like, inspire us. So we were like, right, okay, this needs to be done better, and kind of, something for the fans needs to be done that is much more true to the actual series. So we basically put together a cast. We kind of emailed a load of guys. We found a cast we thought kind of looked the part and all that kind of thing. And we put up a video online kind of showing the cast, showing the locations, talking about our kind of passion for Dragon Ball Z. And then basically did like a small Indiegogo campaign, which is kind of Kickstarter, to raise the money to make a trailer, basically a kind of how we would like to see Dragon Ball Z, the kind of... because we couldn't obviously make a full movie or a series or anything, so we were like, we'll take some of our favourite moments from the Saiyan Saga and we'll make this trailer.
Now, in all honesty, it probably doesn't take too much to make something better than Dragon Ball Evolution, but how does it feel to have made something that has pleased literally hundreds of thousands, like nearly millions of people that have seen it, that are just giving you rave reviews and saying how much better your project was? Like, how has that kind of projectiled you guys into the anime community?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was amazing, and all the way through the production, we were kind of putting out video updates. So from the very first video where we kind of asked for money on Indiegogo, from then on we were kind of updating people, and we got to go to Pinewood Studios, which was amazing. And we were kind of putting out these videos, and every time we put out a video, they were getting more and more hits. So, I mean, I think the last update we released before we went to the actual trailer got shared on Yahoo Japan and got like 1 million views in one day.
Oh, wow.
And that was just, I was like, this is crazy kind of thing. We had like 2 million views on a video update for a trailer that hadn't even come out yet kind of thing.
Was that the Dragon Ball Z Vegeta armor or Saiyan armor one? Is that the one?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, I was just looking at that one earlier. I mean, I've seen all the videos. We've been long since talking about this project, but I saw that one earlier. I was like, wow, just an update got multiple million. That's impressive. That's really crazy.
Well, because basically that update kind of had, it was like the closest one to when we were actually going to make the trailer, and it had like, full photos with the people in costume. It had like a little teaser clip and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, someone at Yahoo Japan saw it and literally shared it on the homepage, which is like a huge page, page kind of thing. And it literally, I sat there and watched it get 1 million views in one day, and it was crazy. So then when the trailer came out, I literally didn't sleep for about 48 hours, just reading comments and watching the numbers go up and stuff. And I think in the first week, it got like 2.5 million views. And then it just, like IGN shared it, Yahoo shared it again. It was crazy. And it was, like a snowball effect where I think because we had been working on it for such a long time, kind of the build up to it and all those videos, it created like such a kind of big hype around it.
Yeah.
And then
I was going to ask about that, because this obviously came out after Dragon Ball Evolution. So the moment that anyone heard about, all right, here's a company that's going to make something Dragon Ball Z related, it's obviously going to suck because, you know, Hollywood destroyed, you know, what could have been a reasonably decent film. So, I mean, you guys probably had, you know, you had the odds against you guys. And for you to come out on top like this is a massive achievement.
yeah, I mean, there's kind of there's been a couple of kind of live action projects since, and that, you know, put out kind of teasers, and have had you know, a far more negative response, and we're like, wow, kind of thing. You know, we were lucky to get that really positive response. And I mean, the thing is like you say, Evolution was so bad that we were like, if we get the costumes right, stick to the story, have some good action, you know, get a better cast, we are guaranteed to make Dragon Ball Z fans happier, you know. So, like you say the odds were against us, but in some ways, people were so hungry for a good Dragon Ball Z that the kind of that Evolution almost helped us, because people were so angry at that when something came along that was closer to the story, they were like, oh, thank God, you know, kind of thing. So, yeah, that helped us.
That brings me to another question, because you just simplified something that otherwise I would imagine a bunch of Hollywood executives are sitting like around a giant table, and I just imagine them, you know, bashing their heads against the table trying to figure out how to make this movie, and they're just like, well, you know what, we can follow the story, we can get costumes and decent actors, and that's all that you need. Like, and then you look at Dragon Ball Evolution, and you just look what happened. Like, they steered away from the costumes by quite a lot. Some were okay, like tolerable, but the story was so far out there. I mean, aside from the name, it didn't even really feel like Dragon Ball at that point. No. So, like, my question is to you in that sense is, what do you think happened with Dragon Ball Evolution that made it such a train wreck?
Yeah, where to start? I mean, like the main point, like you said, is that there's this amazing source material that's sitting there. You know, it's not as if I mean, you've obviously got to turn it into a movie and kind of, but the material was there with millions upon millions of fans around the world. So why on earth would you then take that and go, oh, let's completely change it? You know, like, I don't understand that mentality. You know, when you say, like, here's a franchise that everybody loves, let's do something completely different to that. You know, kind of thing. So I think, they straight away they messed up on that. I mean, the action, there was hardly any action. The VFX were poor. You know, like, if I understand that they didn't have a huge budget. I mean, 30 million still a big budget, but in terms of a huge Hollywood blockbuster, it's not a gigantic budget. But so then they should have kind of worked with their restraints. But they kind of tried to do things that didn't work, and everything, the story, the action, the casting, it just all kind of missed off, I felt.
And now I know firsthand that fans were outraged at Justin Chatwin as Goku in DBE. But to be honest, like, Goku is from another planet, and fans sometimes fail to, like, remember that. Like, anime is Japanese anime. That's where the animation is from. It definitely takes a very strong Japanese style and puts, you know, some Western culture into it. But, you know, the Saiyan race, they're not from Earth, so they don't really have a race or ethnicity as far as that we're familiar with. They're Saiyans, so it doesn't really matter exactly what the race is, because, you know, he's not from this planet. But for you guys, what about with your casting? I mean, you guys had a few mixed, you had a few guys that were Caucasian playing, like Nappa, for example, and then you had some other guys playing different roles. What was the casting like for you, and did you guys get a lot of flack from fans, and you got put, you know, maybe it's an Asian American in the role or I guess British Asian American in the role of Vegeta? You know, like, how did that go for you guys?
Well, when we initially were looking for cast, from our point of view, it was as simple as growing up as kids. Our interpretation of the characters were kind of, I don't know. We saw them as Asian characters purely because of the kind of food they're eating, their names, their kind of, the general culture of the show. So, I mean, it's as simple as that, really, for us in terms of, we've kind of said this to people before. You know, there'll be obviously American Caucasians growing up, and they'll watch it, and they want to be Goku. They want to be the characters, so they'll see the characters as being white. And I think everyone kind of does that. They identify the characters with themselves. But that's just kind of how we saw them, and also we wanted to, in our minds, make them look like as much as possible as the anime characters. So the people we picked were purely because we had a pretty tough criteria. One was that we wanted them to be martial artists.
Right.
Two, they had to have some. We weren't as concerned with the acting purely because there wasn't much dialogue. It was more their physicality that mattered to us in this kind of thing. But So the fact they could do martial arts, their look, so it was a pretty, that's a pretty niche thing, especially when you're not paying anyone. You're saying, I want you to come and do this for free, kind of thing. So when we were casting, we were basically going through these kind of big casting sites, looking at the look. Then we had to see if they could do the martial arts because we wanted them to do it for real. We wanted so we could get the shots we wanted with the actual actors physically doing what we wanted them to do. So yeah, it was a kind of small pool of people to go from, kind of thing. But I'd say, yeah, on the race side of things, we've always said if you saw the characters as being white, cool, kind of thing. But for what we see it as, this is kind of just how we see the characters. And obviously, as the human race does, the human race has black, white, Asian, and so to us, the Saiyans would have, Nappa could be white coloured skin, and Vegeta could be,
sure.
So
and I gotta be honest too. I loved everything that I've seen up until the final release of the teaser trailer. But to be quite honest with you, Harry, the casting that you guys is quite superb. Ryan Oliva was amazing as Nappa, even for that very short bit that he was there. It was great. And then Aaron Lee is great as Vegeta. But let's be honest, the best casting choice that you made was Michael Amariah as Piccolo. That was fantastic. Everyone's always said that Piccolo was a bit of one of those kind of down to earth, gruff guys, but you found an amazing actor to portray him. I was very excited to see the choice and then the final product of Piccolo in the trailer.
Great, thank you. No, I'm glad you like that. Yeah, the casting choice again was I remember saying to Michael, he was like a ridiculous Dragon Ball Z fan, and so he was so excited to be playing Piccolo, kind of thing. And I just said to him, I said, this is nothing. It's just purely from when we were kids. I was like, I just imagined Piccolo as a black man, kind of thing. Not literally as a black man, but that kind of just the mannerisms and stuff like that, kind of thing.
Let's be honest, Piccolo's black for sure. He's absolutely black. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we were just so that was our, straight away. That's what I mean. When we came to do this, between me and my brother, there was no kind of question, as we knew how we were going to cast it in our minds. So that's what we went with. It wasn't necessarily a real big, how should we do this? How we do this? It was just we see Nappa as white, we see this character as that. The only thing I would say I would potentially change would be that maybe I felt kind of afterwards that Krillin should probably be an Asian character. Mm-hmm. He in the anime he just kind of looked like a white guy to us, but I feel like with these kind of Buddhist spots and that kind of stuff, I felt like maybe he should be an Asian character. But other than that, yeah.
It's something else too, and I'm just looking at all the pictures here. If you go to K&K Productions website, you can take a look at the cast of Dragon Ball Z: The Saiyan Saga, and they have the list of their anime counterparts and the actors that portray them in the trailer. And I know I have some friends that every time they go to the gym, they always kind of push the whole train in Saiyan thing, and they want to look like a Saiyan and look like one of the characters from Dragon Ball Z. But you look at these guys, everybody here's got their shirt off. They're all ripped. They all have six-packs next to six-packs, and they've got muscles on top of muscles and veins bulging. These guys literally look like they could have been ripped right out of the anime and thrown into a live-action trailer. So you did an amazing job on these guys. It's seriously impressive. Absolutely.
Well, obviously, I said Ryan as Nappa. 6'5", whatever it was, 18 stone of pure muscle, and a bald guy. And I was like, that literally, he pretty much is Nappa, kind of thing. So yeah, we were lucky to find him.
Now, let's be honest. You could take Ryan in a fight, right? You could take him. You could easily take him.
There was a few occasions, actually, where I had to put him in his place on set.
I hired you. Don't forget that. You're way stronger than me, and you can crush me into a pulp, but I hired you. And he's like, all right, Harry, you got it. You're the man. Now, as far as casting goes, you've put your 2 cents in the matter, but what about fans? When you announced who was going to be playing, Vegeta, Gohan, etc., what did the fans seem to be generally in favor too? Because like I said, I'm a fan, and I loved it. Do you think the other fans were in favor too?
It's a strange thing. It was initially and for a long time, it seemed to be massively people were happy. Every time we released a new image of a character, they were like, "Wow, looks just like him," and really happy, kind of thing. And the trailer itself and our trailer and everything we've done in general has a 95% thumbs up to a 5% down. So we usually go on that and assume that people are happy. So yeah, it was a really good reaction. I think Ryan was the first image we released of Nappa. And it went crazy. We at that point we were releasing kind of one image a week of each character, and that was like my favourite day of the week, just to kind of release that image, because we went out and took some photos with them at the location, which was amazing. A place called Dorset in the UK, right on the coast, and we were on this like cliff that just dropped off into the ocean, kind of thing. So we were taking these photos of them, you know, on the edge of these cliffs and stuff, and yeah, just seeing the reaction was really great. Yeah, we got a really positive reaction. I think it's kind of, as time's gone on, the kind of whole they should be white, they should be Asian, you know, kind of debate's gone on. But we try not to really get involved with it because, like you say, there's, you know, as far as we're concerned, as long as they look like the characters and can kind of behave like the characters, that's all that matters.
And I mean, you and I have known each other for a really long time, and I mean, I'm obviously, like I've said several times over, that I'm a fan of what you do. And one thing that I forgot to ask, I was just going to say, is that the sets and the backdrops that you had were absolutely stunning. When you first showed me those images, when I first got a chance from a fan perspective to see the trailers with that, I mean, that stuff was beautiful. The environment. Where were you guys at when you were filming that stuff?
Yeah, well, so basically, it was. It was a place that's about a 6-hour drive from us in the UK. Yeah, it's called Dorset, and when we were very first kind of looking at locations, I was just searching like the kind of stuff that you would see in the Saiyan Saga. So I was searching like mountains, cliffs, caves, kind of thing, just looking just to try and find something that looked roughly like the Dragon Ball Z environment.
Yeah.
And then this location popped up, and I was like, that is literally perfect. You got the ocean there, you got that kind of rocks and grass, and all that kind of the locations of Dragon Ball Z are like. And so we went down there, met the guy. He's like a private owner who owns it, and we arrived, and literally they just finished filming a scene from John Carter there, and so John Carter, they were charging Disney like $5,000 a day.
Wow.
To be there. And
well, it's Disney. You kind of got to squeeze them for what they got. It's like, all right, these guys don't have a lot of money, maybe $100 a day. Oh, it's Disney, $10,000 a day. Let's do it.
Exactly, and you know, Disney had like rain machines down there, and like trailers, and hundreds of people, and all this kind of stuff. And we basically, I just said to the guy, I was like, I'm telling you now, like, we cannot pay $5,000 a day. I was like, I explained the production, I talked about it, I told about how, you know, kind of passionate we were. I showed him the Kickstarter page, and I said, you know, because we were initially trying to raise $5,000 like full stop kind of thing. So I was saying to him, there's just no way we're going to be able to afford, you know, that kind of money. And he kind of was like, well, I'll have to get back to you. And then
he revealed he's a Dragon Ball Z fan, and he's like, I'll cut you guys a break. I'm a huge fan of Piccolo, and it's just, I love it so much. So here's the deal.
Come with me to our barn, and then the whole walls were covered with Goku posters and stuff. And and then like literally just called us back and said, look, listen, I can see what you're trying to do. I appreciate you're kind of a much smaller company. I'll cut you a deal, kind of thing. And so yeah, he gave us a lot cheaper than what Disney were paying, and we went down there for 2 days, and it was like, yeah, we were so lucky because we weren't even filming really in the heart of summer, and it was so beautiful, the weather, and we were out there on this like cliff. Yeah, it was amazing. Like when the actors turned up, because they saw it for the first time on the day we started shooting, and they were all just like walking around like, oh, kind of thing. So yeah, it was great.
Now, with everything with Dragon Ball Z Saga and the success that you guys have seen, fans obviously love it, but the Saiyan Saga was not the only planned thing that you guys wanted to do. So you guys are currently working on, and you've been sharing out the Frieza Saga, the next, I mean, aside from, I guess it goes Saiyan Saga, and then the kind of Namek Saga a little bit, then it jumps into the Frieza Saga, or maybe Namek and Frieza is the same. It depends on who you ask. But that's what you guys are working on now, right?
Yes. Well, yes and no. Basically, obviously it was a weird thing because we made the Saiyan Saga trailer with the intent of, you know, basically getting the attention of a bigger company, you know, or someone to say, look, you know, this is what fans want. This is what, you know, there's this big desire for live action Dragon Ball Z. And when it was so successful, we kind of like didn't really know what to do. We were like, oh, okay, so we've done that now. And, you know, we tried contacting, you know, some of the companies like Funimation and stuff. We weren't really kind of getting anywhere. So we were like, okay, well, the only kind of logical thing to do next is move on to the Frieza Saga. So the intention was that we would do something similar, where we would make a full kind of 5-6 minute extended trailer with a couple of teasers leading up to it. So we've released 2 teasers. One was the Super Saiyan transformation, a tease on that, and the second was a tease on an actual look at Frieza himself. And they provided pretty big challenges for both. In the first, we had to create basically a kind of a Namek, and in the second, we had to obviously create Frieza, which was a big challenge in itself.
Now, that was my next question. So, I mean, Piccolo was probably one of the bigger obstacles. I know that the Saiyan armor was a big thing for you guys to work with, and then Piccolo was kind of hard, and I'm sure there was a lot of worry about what he was going to look like with the fans, and it came out great. But I would imagine that Frieza's got to be like 10 times over more difficult to create. Tell us a little about that process and maybe what the biggest obstacles were.
Yeah, so as soon as we started doing about the Frieza saga, we were like, oh, hold up, wait a second. Like, every other character is like a crazy alien. Like, you got like Dodoria and Zarbon and Frieza, all this kind of stuff, and we're like, this is going to be 10 times harder. Like, most of the characters in the Saiyan Saga are kind of, a human-esque character. So obviously our first thoughts, were Frieza. And initially, basically, after the Saiyan Saga, we got a call from a guy who was like a big CGI VFX artist who works for Weta and companies like that did like Avatar and that kind of stuff. And he was like, I'm absolutely amazed what you guys have done with your budget and stuff. And he's like, I've been meaning to get off my ass for years and do, like something for Dragon Ball Z. He said, but you guys have done it and I'm really impressed, kind of thing. And he said, I'm basically willing to offer my services to you guys for free. And we were like, wow, I mean, this guy, is getting, he's getting paid big money for the job he does. Yeah. And so we're like, amazing. So initially we kind of talked through with him, like, how do you think we can do Frieza? And initially it was going to be pretty much like a CGI character, but with kind of use a person's face and like motion tracking kind of thing so we could get real facial movements and real actors, because we didn't want it to be like a completely CGI, because it would just feel cartoony and you wouldn't get the real motion in the face and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And then so that's what we kind of set out to do. He brought over literally motion capture technology from Avatar. We got and so the plan was that we would have 3 actors essentially. One actor would be the body of Frieza, one actor would be the face of Frieza, and one actor would be the voice of Frieza. Mm-hmm. So we stuck the motion capture on a guy called Jing, who was he still appears in the teaser. He basically has got like the perfect body for Frieza. He's this kind of like short guy, but he's absolutely ripped. And then we found Rose Ryan, who was a kind of cosplay model, and she basically, we always thought Frieza looked like you could kind of say, is Frieza a man, is Frieza a woman? He had that kind of androgynous
very feminine
look.
Yeah,
exactly. So we found her and we just kind of looked at her face and compared it to Frieza, and she just had very similar kind of eyes in the same place, her mouth in the same place.
And how did you tell her that she looks like an alien character from an anime series? Like, did she take that well? Was she cool with that?
Yeah, luckily she's like a crazy Dragon Ball Z fan and a big cosplayer, so the opportunity to be Frieza she was like going crazy for. So yeah, she was more than happy. So we stuck her in like this weird white suit, bald cap and everything, and did all this motion capture stuff. But then basically it got really far down the line where like we had like a full CG character that was like moving around and all this kind of stuff. But it got to the point where it was like so much work for these guys that already had crazy full-time schedules. I mean, these guys were literally working on Pacific Rim and stuff like that at the same time as trying to do our teasers. And so it just got to the point where they were saying, like, guys, we can't keep to any kind of deadline here. Like, this might take us 6 months, this might take a year, this might, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. We were like, this is literally just for a teaser, and we're keeping people waiting all this time. So kind of, it just got to the point where they were like, really sorry guys, but we're going to have to kind of bail out of this. And then they were kind of like, and we're not really ready to give up our Frieza model that we've worked so hard on, kind of thing. Sure. So it was amicable, and we just had to say, okay, fair enough. But so 6 months had literally gone by, and we pretty much were starting again. So I mean, that was one of the issues we had. Like, people kind of going, what's going on? Where is it, kind of thing. But we didn't want to, insult these guys and say, oh, these guys are taking ages because they were working for free and all this kind of stuff.
Sure.
So that was the initial. So it was a long answer, but that was the initial big challenge.
So when are we going to see the Frieza Saga? We're going to get it tomorrow, right? You're going to release it tomorrow and get everything all ready to go for us, or what?
Yeah, so off the back of that, we then decided, right, what we'll do is we'll actually make it more of a real person, and we will then layer kind of some CG on top. So we went down with Jing and Rose to the green screen studios in YouTube. They were very kind of, let us use their studios.
Cool.
And so we then had to we shot Jing, we kind of spray painted him white and just got a general kind of base colour. Did these shoots in front of him in the green screen. Then we had to position Rose literally using the very high-tech method of like standing her next to Jing and then like moving her feet to where his feet were and stuff like that, so that we could roughly place her head where his head would be.
Okay.
And then after we took that, George put it all together, and then literally just kind of took, we built up these like skin textures and stuff like that, and then just laid the textures over the top to create the kind of the Frieza look. And she had like a bald cap on, which had like tracking markers, so we could track the kind of purple, kind of skull thing that he has, and the shoulder pads and the chest plate and all that kind of stuff. And it came out pretty well in the end. Well, it was a long process.
And I think, it sounds like it. And I think it looks great. All that stuff is definitely going to pay off when you end up finally getting to kind of release that project at some point. But there's something that I was just curious about. So everyone at the Geek Outpost staff, like all of our writers, everybody that's involved in the project, we're a huge fan of yours and we have been for a long time. But there's something that we were having a conversation the other day, and they're huge Dragon Ball Z fans, most of them anyway. And they said that while Dragon Ball Z fans, they're not necessarily anime fans, and I feel that's kind of odd. It's kind of like being a Los Angeles Kings fan or an Anaheim Ducks fan, but disliking or being impartial to the NHL as a whole. Is Dragon Ball Z the same for you guys, or are you guys anime fans like overall?
I'm afraid I'm in the first camp. We were actually, Dragon Ball Z was our first anime. Like, we've gone back and watched Dragon Ball, but we watched Dragon Ball Z first. Mm-hmm. Like, that was the first, I remember being a little kid, my brother turning it on and being like, what the hell's this? And it was, Piccolo fighting Raditz kind of thing. And so we watched all of Dragon Ball Z, obviously, and then in between, as we were getting into that, we went back and watched Dragon Ball. And since then, I've dabbled in other animes, but I wouldn't. I'm obviously an anime fan, but I wouldn't call myself like a huge anime fan. Like, I would call myself a big Dragon Ball Z fan. But I mean, like I've dabbled in Naruto, Bleach, stuff like that. But to be honest, recently we've been doing panels at anime conventions, and people are saying, "Oh, what do you think of this anime?" And I haven't seen it. So I think I need to go back and kind of educate myself on a lot more anime.
Now, there's something else, too, and this is probably the biggest thing that we're going to talk about during this interview, is that you guys aren't just planning on doing trailers with Dragon Ball Z, but you guys really want to kind of get into a Dragon Ball Z web series. Now, you and I, we've been discussing this for the better part of a year now. Is there any news or updates on that process, or what are the things that we can talk about? Yeah,
well, basically, what we realize is that, we can keep putting out these trailers, but it's not moving us forward as filmmakers, and it's not moving, it's not moving the hope that we can get a movie or a web series forward. So what we decided to do is actually put much more effort into taking what we already had, which is 7 million views for a trailer, and another 7 million views between our other Dragon Ball Z videos. That is proof enough. That shows the demand and the want for live action Dragon Ball Z. So we were like, we've already got this. We keep making these trailers. Sure, we can get more hits on it and stuff, but we've already proven, that there is that need. So we've been kind of working basically on, trying to obtain the live action rights to do a web series, and that is a lot harder than it sounds, because it's all over the place. Toei have a part in it. We're still not completely sure, but we think Fox have a part of it. A company called June have a part in it, and so what we've been doing basically is we are, I don't know if you've seen, but there was a series, Street Fighter Assassin's Fist, that came out quite recently. Amazing series, and they had a very similar story to us. The director of that, Joey Ansah, huge Street Fighter fan, spent the last 5 years essentially chasing to make a movie or a web series. And he made something very similar to us. I think it was called Street Fighter Legends or something like that, and it was like basically a trailer. It was Ryu versus Ken, and it was just showing, this is what a fan-made live action can look like. They got 4 million views on the trailer, and they've kind of spent the last 5 years tracking down and Capcom and getting the rights. Finally done it. The series has come out. It's been hugely popular. It looks amazing. They got a really good budget for it. So I kind of messaged I messaged Joe, the kind of guy, the director, and said, look, you've literally done what we want to do. Can you tell us, how you did it? He then went through the long and painful story of how he'd kind of got there. Gave us a few great contacts, and then from there we've been meeting with companies who are very interested in helping us to get the rights and are currently working on it. I can't say too much more than that. I don't want to jeopardize it in any way, but basically that's the kind of state of play. We've got some well-known companies who are very interested in distribution, and they are trying to help us get the rights. That's proven more difficult than they even thought, but they're working on it.
Now, I know there's probably a lot that you can't talk about exactly, but I mean, you're still kind of pressing forward a little bit. There's still some kind of talks that are happening. Maybe there's some conversations. There are some meetings that might be had, and some follow-ups that we're still kind of waiting on to get more details. But what are the things that we can't talk about? Can we talk about those? Is that cool? What can you tell us about what you can't talk about?
What can I tell you about what we can?
Yeah, exactly.
I can't talk about that.
All right, fair enough. But at least you can say that there will hopefully be some more news on this potential project in the future, right?
As we've done with everything, like as soon as we know, we let everyone else know. Like the whole point of this project is it's fans. So the first priority is to let other fans of Dragon Ball Z and of ours know what's going on. So like the second we get the okay that this is happening, or even close to happening, we'll kind of be there saying, right, this is what's going on and explaining. Obviously, from these companies' point of view, they want to keep it close to their chest at the moment because nothing's definite. But all I can say is that we're making big strides in the fact that we are concentrating on this and putting so much time into this, and we have the numbers, we have the support, kind of thing. For them, it's not just seeing the fact that we've got the 7 million views, but it's seeing that we've got the Facebook page and the Twitter page that that are regularly, people, retweeting and stuff. The community, and guys like you who help us out and stuff. So that for them is a appealing thing. So it's moving forward.
Now, I know we have a limited time. We're almost going to wrap up. We have 2 more questions, and we'll finish up here. But real quick, like, you guys don't just make Dragon Ball Z videos either. So on your YouTube channel, there's some things up there for Watch Dogs. There's League of Legends. There's some other event things that you've done. Is there anything else that you're currently working on outside of the normal anime wheelhouse? I mean, what are the things you guys have going on over there at K&K?
Well, we've got a few projects going. League of Legends was a big one for us, and we're thinking potentially maybe doing some more League of Legends stuff. We actually have another web series we've written, which is a kind of sci-fi action martial arts, so kind of a combination of everything that we love, kind of thing. It's only like 30 minutes of content, but it's like a small mini series. So we're talking to a few people about maybe doing some stuff with that. And also we are actually working on another fun Dragon Ball Z video, which we will be potentially shooting next month.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything. You guys have shared a little bit with me prior to the interview about what this is going to be like, and it sounds amazing, and I'm very, very excited about it. I so desperately want to talk about it, but I know that you kind of want to leave that for you guys and the fans end of the road, so my lips are sealed, but just know that from a fan standpoint, it sounds amazing, so I'm very, very excited. And lastly, too, real quick, so I mean, anybody who's listening to this might have an interest beyond, Dragon Ball Z, potentially League of Legends, anything like that they might want to be a little more than just the amateur filmmaker. I mean, you guys are very quickly becoming professional, if not professional already. What type of advice could you give someone who's on the ground up trying to maybe get to where you are, or just starting?
Well, I would say one thing I would say straight off the bat is that, I mean, I suppose we're lucky in the kind of stuff that we're passionate about. I mean, we're just big action junkies, big Dragon Ball Z fans, big gamers, kind of thing. So the kind of stuff we make is the kind of stuff that is popular, on YouTube and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And one thing I would say is that we've had the opportunity, because we've got followers and subscribers and stuff. We've had the opportunity to make some of our own original shorts, like we did the martial arts versus zombies. We've done one recently called Dry, which is a kind of sci-fi martial arts blend, and those are the kind of films that potentially no one would have really watched before, but because now we have a bit of a following, people watch them and they go, oh, that's cool, and it's easier to kind of get people to look at what you're doing. So what I would say is that when you're first starting out, I would say not you don't want to do original things, but if you want to kind of get attention and if you want to get people to see your stuff, then maybe make a fan film, make something that is based on something that people already know about and already excited about, so that when you put that film out there, people are already looking for it, and you're going to then, you know, get views and get hits and stuff like that.
So start with something familiar, kind of get some traction that way, and then start kind of creating your own thing so people already know who you are. It makes sense.
Exactly. They will watch it because they're interested in what you're making it about, you know, the brand you're making it about. But then after that, they might watch your stuff just because they like your videos, and that's something that we've found. So that's one piece of advice I would give. And also, you know, I consider our USP to be the fact that we can take a very small budget and make it look, you know, professional. So, you know, just sit down. If you want to do VFX and stuff, sit down and learn it yourself, because that's going to make it so much cheaper that when you don't have to pay someone to do this, you don't have to pay someone to do that. You know, when we made the Saiyan Saga, we were directing, we were producing, we wrote it, we were filming it ourselves, we edited ourselves, we did the VFX ourselves. So immediately it was a lot of hard work, but immediately that brings the price down because you don't have to pay people for those things. So I'd say if you want to make something look really cool and professional and stuff, just take the time. It does take time, but take the time to kind of learn these things yourself, and yeah, you'll have a big head start against a lot of people.
Well, it sounds great. I think that's really great advice for anyone who's kind of new up and coming, trying to make some videos out there, whether it be YouTube or any other avenue. But we're all really big fans over here. The whole Go staff really loves what you guys are doing. We support you guys 100%. You guys can always count on us for spreading the word. We know that you're really busy. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Be sure to check these guys out at DBZ_Saiyan_Saga on Twitter. You can follow them on YouTube and subscribe over there too at K&K Productions. Check out their website. KNKProductions.co.uk is their home site, but same thing with /DBZ after it will bring you to the DBZ project. Harry, really appreciate it. Look forward to seeing what comes out next.
Great check to you. Thank you very much.
All right, take care.